Yeah, hello.
Is that Rutger?
Webinar is being recorded, and what we will do is we will send these recordings out to you at the end of the webinar. We'll also publish the webinars on the UK website and possibly the main Eijkelkamp website as well. Like last time, we encourage questions as much as possible. We will issue a sheet of questions and answers with the webinars on the websites, and you'll be able to see there what other people have asked and the answers that we've given. We are looking in the future to do a further webinar where we will do an interview theme, and we'll invite guests and do a questions and answers session as part of the webinar, and we will ask questions on your behalf if you wish us to. Okay, so it's the same three people as we've had for the initial webinars. There's myself, Callum, and Rutger. And for this, the third webinar, as we wrote on the introduction, we've got a special guest. So please let me introduce you to John Rodgman of Borehole Solutions. John will be.
Hi guys.
Hi, John. John will be answering questions from Rutger on some slides further on. Before we go to the next slide, I just want to mention again that we are all working remote. You can see from the map there that we're all in different locations, and you'll also notice that John's mobile, so you probably will hear the odd car noise and everything else. So that's what we're doing right now. So please excuse us if we do have any technical glitches. We'll try and get through them. So all that said, let me please pass you on to Callum.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, first a quick recap on the principles of Sonic. This is just a general reminder of some of the key details for those who haven't had a chance to see the previous presentations yet. On the right is a diagram showing the range of materials which can be drilled using Sonic. You have soft alluvial formations, sands, gravels, etc., and then over to the more difficult grounds such as boulders, moraine, and bedrock. If you have compact or hard materials where there is no space between the particles, then rotation can be applied. By doing this, it will give you a really efficient hammer. Overall, there is much less to consider using the 150 Hz Sonic. It provides a significantly lower risk when drilling through mixed formations when compared to conventional methods. What we have here shows the core sample taken from a concrete slab with a 20mm thick steel plate. It was taken at the Royal Eijkelkamp demo day last year, and it took us no more than 5 to 6 minutes.
Before I let Callum go to the next slide, can I just ask Callum to just try and do something with your microphone a little bit, because that was a little bit unclear, and then I'll click on to the next slide. Okay, Callum?
Is that better, Dave? Is that clear for everyone?
Perfect, thank you.
The benefits of using 150 Hz Sonic for sampling, basically nothing is lost. You have full recovery and undisturbed samples. Your productivity is much higher. Last week we shared an example of a client rotary mud drilling with useable S. They switched over to Sonic and using a 3-5 sample system, check out the rods a lot quicker. If we look at cable percussion, and depending on the geology, it can be at least 3 times faster. If it gets really hot when you're drilling, then your sample does start to evaporate. With our Sonic system, there is no loss of contamination through heat, because it should always stay below 40 degrees Celsius. And there's also no interpretation of the missing layers. We're ultimately choosing between slower and more partial results versus better rates. So why use 150 Hz rotor Sonic in the UK? The industry is showing a growing demand for this technique. It covers a lot of the main applications, such as technical, investigative, and environmental, percussion rigs. There's also an overlap with rotary. With Sonic, you can sample all of the overburden, including those difficult conditions, which can often be problematic or difficult for conventional methods. With our duo system, you also have one machine that can do everything should you need to switch over to core the bedrock. As we mentioned, you have a very high production rate. Your total cost per meters drilled are close to that of cable percussion, and in some cases they're even lower. It's well suited to geological conditions in the UK. We're seeing quite a lot of contracts specifying sonic in the London area at the moment. Of course, it all depends on the size of the rig, but your typical drilling depth is usually between 60 to 150 meters. 90 to 101 millimeters are the standard sample diameters, which are often used for geotechnical sampling. And generally, the borehole diameter would sit around 200 millimeters. We have a range of different samplers and drill bits designed for all types of conditions. More information on these can be found in the second presentation, which we shared last week. You can perform a range of other in situ tests as well, SPT sampling, CPT, vein tests, pressure meter testing with packers. We have many clients as well who are using the UT100 and U100 systems in between sampling in the UK.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we go on to the next slide, rather than go back, because obviously we've got a lot to get through, the microphone was a problem then. So what we will do is we'll put some text with the published webinar. From there, I'll just pass you on to Rutger.
Yeah. So yeah, I was meeting John, I think 2 years ago now, where we visited a site in London, sorry, in the Netherlands, to see the first glances of sonic drilling. And since that time, John and I have been working together to get 4 sonics into the UK. John, over here we see 4 of your machines, and I think it's good to go over for the audience to see where you use each machine and what's their biggest strength. So the latest unit you've added to the fleet is the first one we will start with. It's the SRS PL, the cut down drill. Why did you want for this unit after all the little bit bigger units you've been using?
Because in London, we're very well known for sort of restricted access drilling, really tough areas to get to. It's a bit of a niche market, but with cable percussive, it's a great method, but it's very laborious. So everything has to be hand carried in, hand carried out, which, you know, is doable, but you've got to find people that want to hand carry X amount of weight up and down places, in and out. And, you know, with this, we built a small, compact sonic rig that ticks all the boxes and takes out manual handling away and speeds the process up, keeps it cleaner. You know, it is the future, effectively.
Yeah. So you have been using this now for about 3 months.
Yeah.
We'll discuss one of the projects later on, but your experience with this one in the UK, where have you been using it for? What kind of project?
London, tight access for National Grid to work underneath power lines, so they keep the power lines open with a low headroom. This particular project I've just left today, we're drilling on because the last attempt they had, they spent 6 or 8 weeks with rotary and geobore S and numerous ways of trying to recover the ground, and each and every way was unsuccessful. This is the only method that's been used and got 100% recovery.
Yeah, okay. So the next one is the SRS ML, where it all started with, about a 7-ton machine with all the bells and whistles for safety. We'll talk about the projects in London later on, but what kind of work do you target this one for?
The ML, we use near enough everything. Anything a cable percussive rig can do, the ML can do better, faster, quicker and cleaner. And it's narrower, and you get into tighter spots. So again, you know, it is replacing a lot of our cable percussive sites where we have multiple holes to drill, because we're quicker and faster with this method, and we get more or less 100% recovery at all times.
Okay, yeah. So the next 2 drills are compact rotosonic, so they have a bit more power. The first one is basically an anchor drilling rig. That's what the design is for, so it can do several angles. What kind of jobs are you targeting with this kind of machine?
We do a lot of dewatering with this machine. We do a lot of angle holes. Say, like, for example, they want to drill inside a building but can't. We'll set up outside the building, and then we'll drill at a slight angle and work the deviation out. Now, you can't do that with cable. You can't do that with cable percussive, and in certain geology, you can't do that with standard rotary. So the reason why it has to be sonic and have to be this method at an angle.
Yeah. Are you using this machine in London as well, or also more up north, where the geology is a bit more rock and that kind of material?
We've been to Ireland with this, Scotland, Wales. To be quite frank, literally everywhere and anywhere with this one. It's in demand, really. Once people realise what you can do with it and the options it offers you, there isn't a sort of specific area it stays in. I mean, the ML and the PL, they tend to stay in London majority, but this particular machine seems to go all over the place.
Yeah, it also brings us to the next one. It's the TRS XL140 with a dual head. So it's not only a 150 Hz sonic drill head, but also a 4-speed rotary head. What kind of jobs have you been targeting with this one?
Everything and anything. There's nothing that machine can't drill. Water wells, geothermal, geotechnical, dewatering, deep wells, wide wells. I mean, that there, if I could have 10 of them tomorrow, they would be the 10 I would pick.
Okay, so
there's no need for this geobore. There's no need for this cable percussive start the hole and then get a rotary to pull over a cable hole. It eliminates all that messing around. You just do it with one rig and get 100% recovery all the way down.
Okay. So with this one, to conclude, you go to jobs where you're not really certain of the geology, and with the two types of drilling methods, you're certain that you get to target depth. Is that correct?
I could put that anywhere on the planet, personally speaking, and get results with that. That's the facts with that particular machine.
Okay. I think it's good to discuss some of the jobs you've been working on. In between, we'll add some other examples of other solutions. The first one is the Azure SML has been used quite a lot in London. What kind of general projects are you targeting with this machine?
Mainly site investigation, so lots of SBTs, U100s, UT100s, lots of liners for undisturbed samples, triaxles, that kind of stuff. Mainly GI.
Yeah. Okay. So you have been drilling cable percussion for a long period of your life.
22
so you have
years.
A lot of experience in that.
Yeah.
How does sonic compare to that, and what is its place in the market?
If they had sonic when I first started, when I was 15 years old, I wouldn't have a bad back now or dodgy ankles.
Yeah.
That's the fact. Because it takes all the manpower, the manual handling out of it when you're lifting everything up with the arm on the side of the rig, screwing it together. So that's one plus thing. And the speed as well. The speed, drilling gravels and dense sands and things, and especially the Lambeth group and the black pebbles you get in there. With the cable percussive, you could spend hours chiseling away, then shelling them out. I mean, the sonic gets through it, and you get recovery. You see what it is. You're not getting a bag of slop or a bucket of slop with a log.
So can you give some examples on jobs you've been doing with CP? How long it takes to do that, and how long it now takes to do it with sonic?
A typical one comes to mind in an area in sort of Slough and Reading. It was taking us about 4 days to drill a borehole down to about 40 metres, 30, 40 metres. SBTs, U100s, that, sampling, that kind of thing for a geotechnical firm. With the Sonic rig, we were doing one a day and then moving and getting 100% recovery. And it wasn't catch a bag of slop, put it in a bulk bag, put a label on it and guess and say this is what comes out from 30 to 30.5. You had a liner there or in a tray and you produced it to the engineer and you said confidently, this is what's there at these depths.
Okay.
So, 3-4 times as faster than the CP rig in the right grounds.
Yeah. What you also see quite a lot in the UK is a double casing with a bentonite seal. How do you overcome that with the Sonic? How do you do that?
With the Sonic, all we'd do is just start off exactly the same as cable percussive. We use a larger diameter casing, then run a smaller diameter casing down inside a bentonite seal. Again, there's nothing different that a Sonic is going to do that a cable rig doing now. There's no fear of cross-contamination or anything like that. There's no worry.
Okay. So now the audience sees a few examples of the samples you've been taking in the last few months.
Yep.
On the left side, it's gravels mixed with some sands.
Yep.
In the middle, there's a clay, and then there is a chalk material. How do you compare this with cable percussion, and of course also with rotary drilling? And what do your clients think about it?
Well, cable percussive will punch the holes out, and then you'll sort of pick it up out of a bucket and put it in a pot, and that'll be your sort of, a very good guess close to the depth of that sample. Sonic, you're getting exactly what it says at that depth, and you can prove it and back it up. Rotary, unless it's in the right grounds, they won't get recovery. The right ground, yes, they will have recovery. Yes, they can tell you what's there. Yes, they will get you a good liner of the stuff. But if it's gravels or sands, you've got no chance.
Okay. Then what I also hear sometimes is that low frequency vibration drilling, it heats up the samples. What's your experience with the 150 hertz sonic vibrations coring and heating up the sample?
Well, if we go back, I said to you, I've been drilling 22 years. So I've been all over the UK and places in Europe drilling. And a long time ago, sort of lower megahertz sonics were producing this and burning the samples. But the sonics that Eijkelkamp sell now, no, this doesn't happen. This is just sort of like an old wives' tale. Like you don't eat the crusts on your toast, your hair's going to turn curly. It's that kind of thing.
Okay. Do you think also the dual wall core barrel helps quite a lot with that in the very difficult to drill materials?
The dual wall core barrel, yeah, it's an amazing bit. It's what you use in the tougher ground conditions.
Okay. For the audience, the dual wall core barrel that allows to use a bit of water or air while taking a sample, but the air outlet is in a way that it doesn't flush away or contaminate the sample, but it still allows drilling really hard material. If we look at the different types of clays, in London, how do you cope with that with a sonic?
London clay's no problem. The same as cable percussive rig finds it no problem. Yeah, so when you get into the Lambeth group, where it's very, very dense clay with sand lenses, cable percussive can drill it, but it struggles and it becomes quite slow and laborious. Whereas the sonic cuts through it, drills through it, no problem. And obviously you're cased at the same time, so it's not an issue. Again, this is where the sonic comes into its own, and a cable percussive rig will hit the Lambeth clay, hit the sand lens or the sand bands or the black pebbles and say they can't get down or they need different casing, and quite often, more than not, the engineers will have to be left in a situation they have to sort of pull the bore hole on a refusal, whereas the Sonic can just carry on as normal. And, you know, if you give the Sonic drillers a depth, they'll hit that depth. They'll give you 100% recovery, regardless whether it's London clay or Lambeth clay or, you know, Lambeth sands.
And then the last picture we see over here is a chalk material. How did you core that before with cable percussion?
Normally, when it's dry, we'll cut it out with a cutter or a stubber, which is lift the tool up in the air and drop it from great height and punch into the ground and pull it out and knock it out with a hook or a crowbar. With the Sonic, obviously, single wall and drill through it. I mean, again, going back to the Sonic, it doesn't really matter if it's wet or it's dry. With the cable rig, as soon as it gets wet, you have to shell it out with a shell, and again catch it into buckets and put it into bulk bags, create a huge mess, and sort of say, yep, this is what came out of this depth. That's what's in this bucket.
Okay. And then the final question on London drilling experience, because you've been working there the most. How do you cope with geotechnical class samples like the UT100 or the U100 with the Sonic?
Not an issue, not an issue at all. We can lower the UT down and drive it in with a weight, not a problem. Exactly the same as a cable percussive. We can Sonic it into the UT100, not a problem. And this area sort of annoyed me a lot, because a lot of engineers say to me, oh, if you Sonic the UT100 in, it's going to damage the sample, it's going to be lots of friction, it's going to be no good. So we actually went out and we drilled holes with a cable rig, with a Sonic, and we used a variety of methods, Sonic it in, drive it in with a hammer, all sorts of stuff, sent them all off to a laboratory with just alphabetical letters showing which was which tube, and when we got them back, and I can clarify, there was next to no difference, if any, at all. Okay,
that's interesting to hear.
And I have the papers, and we paid an individual lab for this.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting, and maybe we can write a little piece about that to publish on the website, so people can read that as well.
Be good.
Okay. Then we go to the next slide. Dave, if you can take over from here for this one.
No problem at all. Thank you, Rutger. As you know, we're trying to sort of tell you about projects in the UK, but it's really important that we include another UK drilling contractor. This is a picture of Eijkelkamp doing a nearshore geotechnical investigation job in Denmark. What I did, instead of trying to tell you myself what they did and what they're up to, I asked for a quote from them, and I got that off Paul McHugh of MacGeo, who operates the rigs on behalf of Eijkelkamp. So, what they actually said was, in 2019, Eijkelkamp successfully completed a technically demanding nearshore geotechnical investigation in Denmark. That was the picture you've just seen. The rig they use is the CRS XL170 Duo. So again, this one's got the 4-speed rotary head next to the Sonic head. I continue the quote. Our ability to offer 150 Hertz Sonic SAMP drilling helped to increase recovery percentages and improve quality of samples, especially with the granular and softer superficial deposits. As is previously investigations, these have proved to be very difficult conditions. We offered the client an advanced alternative that tested the status quo and challenged their original specification. Once the struggle within the superficial layers was successfully conquered, pardon me, the coreable material was later encountered, and it was drilled with ease using the rotary geobore S methods. The drilling crew were able to drill a 1.5 meter core run every 6 to 10 minutes, with the system being quickly deployed using our dual Sonic rotary drilling rig. All I'll do now is just quickly start the video on the right of the picture. Okay, so all that's left to me to do on that is just tell you a little bit more that that rig now, that was Eijkelkamp working in Denmark. That rig now is in the UK, and as I said before, it's operated by MacGeo, who operate on behalf of Eijkelkamp. So to pass you back to, let me just see. We're going to talk about Guinness now. Oh, no, sorry. That's the lockdown getting to me. On to you, Rutger, to talk about Project Dublin. Hello, Rutger.
Sorry, Dave, I turned off the microphone to prevent back noises. Okay. So the picture we see now is on a very tight site in the center of Dublin. John, can you explain what you were, what the goal was of this project?
Yeah, basically a client of ours contacted us, and there's numerous holes all over Dublin for the new metro that was going in, or is going in the future, and in a particular area in Dublin, they could get no recovery up to about 20 to 25 metres, and at that point was where the rock came in, and the rotary could get recovery from the rock. But above this, they just couldn't get anything back. They were just washing it all away or blowing it away. So we used Mito on that project, and we did bore holes from sort of 20 to 35 metres, and we had to go, from memory, I think 6 or 10 metres into the rock. Now, lots of the holes we were re-drilling because they believed the rock was at a certain depth. But after we started, we proved the rock wasn't at certain depths that they believed it was. It was just large cobbles. So by getting them 100% recovery from more or less ground level to the rock and then coring the rock, they knew exactly what they had.
Okay. Well, if we go to the next slide, we'll see some of the cores that have been taken. So on the left, yep, there is some picture of a black material with some gravels. Yep. And then the other pictures are from mixed materials. Can you mention what kind of, what did this give to the consultant?
Right, basically it was a mixture of sands and gravels and boulders with the odd clay lens. The SPT results were refusals all the way down continuously, and quite often you'd come up to what you thought was rock, but then wouldn't be. It'd be a big boulder, and you'd core through the boulder. Then when you brought it out, you'd see the size of the boulder you'd cored through, and then you'd go back into a loose sands and gravel type material. So it is quite confusing unless you're getting a good recovery and you can see what's there. So a bit further along on the project, they were using cable percussive, and they were having to drill in sort of a 10-inch size diameter casing and drop down because of the boulders, and they'd spend a week chiseling away, smashing the boulders to pieces and shelling them out and putting them in buckets. Now, they know they're on something hard, they know they're on something big, but they're never going to get it out to look at it properly as to what it is. They've got to smash it to get it out. So again, this was a problem.
Yeah. So Sonic is known, well, the rumors are that it is expensive to use. But how do you experience in your jobs to use a Sonic comparing to all the other methods on the price it will cost to drill it?
It can be quite misleading, Sonic, in this area, because if you're on a large-scale project with multiple holes, Sonic's going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper than rotary. It's going to be cheaper than cable percussive, believe it or not. And people don't want to hear that, but that is the fact, and we've proven this. The only time, being hand-on-heart truthful with you, that Sonic can't compete with your cable percussive is your your one borehole, your 1 10-metre borehole or your 1 15-metre borehole, because we just can't get in and out in a day with a lorry cheaper than a cable percussive rig. But then on the flip side of it, if you look into every area you want to do things properly, and you're putting a rig on the back of a 4x4 and towing it off, once it goes over a certain type of borehole or a certain depth, that method isn't legally being towed to site. So for me as a business owner, when we're going out and we're putting this on a lorry, we eliminate a lot of the risk there and worry and concerns. But yeah, the boreholes on a job, you know, your HS2 site type projects. I don't know. There's lots of big projects in London at the moment that have got a magnitude of sort of rotary and cable rigs on there doing a mixture of cable and rotary follow-on. Well, they're just throwing money away, pouring it down the sink. It's, you know, it's ludicrous, really. And if someone knew exactly what Sonic could do and went to site and explained it and showed it, I think it would, you know, save a lot of money in a lot of areas in this country.
Okay. So have you been seeing that the jobs you've been quoting, in the end, you've been saving money to the client, maybe also on risks normally taken by difficult grounds?
Yeah, I mean, a good example is we did some road work, and we know what we can do overnight. As long as we're given what we need, we can give them a guaranteed amount of meterage per shift. So if there's a road closure and they need, I don't know, say like a 10-metre or a 20-metre hole done, and we know what we're going to be drilling and all the rest of it, we can give them the exact amount of shifts and be in and out. There is no risk of setting up, hitting a boulder, getting a bit of steel, or it being a problem or not getting down, because you can get down. You won't have this. You know, you're not going to pull into a road enclosure, have an issue at 2 metres in made ground, not get anything done, and have to go back to your client and explain to them, oh, I hit a bit of concrete, we couldn't get through. So the Sonic will set up, drill through the concrete, get the results, and there isn't an issue there. So, you know, imagine how many shifts that can save.
Exactly, yeah. As a side note to this project, how is your experience using it on the railways?
On the railway, well, nothing comes close to it. Like, going back to what I was saying about the roads, you can offer them a set amount of meterage or set amount that's going to get done per shift, and you know, 99% of the time they're going to get what they want, unless outside factors stop you from drilling. But as long as no outside factors from drilling can affect you, you're going to give them what they want. So when your client tenders for X amount of shifts, you're going to give them what they want in those shifts and keep your client happy, and in turn they're going to keep their client happy and come back to you.
Okay. And also for landslides on railroads, do you think with this quality of samples you can maybe prevent a lot of that?
Yeah, this goes back to the 100% recovery. So I wasn't on this project, but the Northern office was, and there was a landslip near to the Northern depot. And with the 100% recovery, they know what depth the slip was at, and they've sort of worked out how they can stop it happening in future, put the slip that's happened right, and sort the road out quite quickly.
Okay. So we'll talk about the third project in a minute. Dave, if you can take the other slide.
Shall I jump back in here, Dave?
Yeah, okay, Callum, please.
So another quick summary, this time looking at the operation position and manual handling. I think if we go to the next slide. Okay, most of our rigs are operated from a swing-out control panel. They are very ergonomic and provide a good view of the drilling operation whilst maintaining a safe distance. Remote controls are also available. Every machine is supplied with remote tracking as standard. Should you also want remote drilling functions, then this is available as an option. In the current circumstances with COVID-19, this is very useful if you want to ensure the correct social distance is maintained on site.
The driller has much more flexibility on where he positions himself to ensure there is always a 2 metre distance between him and the rest of the drill crew. All of our rigs are supplied with full guarding to protect you from moving parts. There is also an interlock fitted, so when you open the cage, for example, to retrieve the sample as shown in the photo here, then all the drilling functions will stop. The driller has to then activate them by a switch, which will only provide limited speed and high speed control until the cage is closed again. The image also shows the head tilt capability that's available, and this enables you to tilt the core barrel forward away from the danger zone so you can safely extract the sample. And then over to the manual handling. So monopole handlers can be fitted to all of the rigs. They provide a much safer and ergonomic way of lifting the equipment into position. There are 2 models to choose from. We have the Monopole 200 and the Monopole 250. Their capabilities range from around 50 to 300 millimeter diameter tooling, 1.5 to 3 meter length, and a max lifting weight of 100 to 200 kilos. The arm does all the lifting, so it's 100% hands-off. The operator only needs to control the movement, and then there is also an automatic brake which locks on when it's not being used, so a good safety feature to have. For the larger version, we do offer a fully remote option that's now available, allowing the driller and the system to stand further away and still have full control of the system. We also offer onboard manipulators. They're completely hands-free. The arm will pick up the rod or the casing, from the rod rack and load it directly into the drill head, and this can be done either from the control panel or on the remote. The separators can be manually operated, or there is an option to switch over to pneumatic control. We offer a range of main winches as well as wireline winches for these rigs. The diagram to the left of the photo shows the operation radius for the wireline winch, which can be fitted on a rotating and extendable jib. This makes it easier to safely handle the wireline core barrel when it's being retracted and you're swapping over to do the next run. And we also fit overhoist limiters. Should the winch, the cable be retracted too high towards the top of the mast, then it will shut off automatically to prevent any damage.
So we're going now to a project you're working on, John, currently. As we see on this picture, it already brings some challenges to get to site. Can you run us over the project, what you're doing here, and why you use the Sonic for this?
Right, I'm going to actually pass you over to Irvin, which is our lead Sonic driller at Borehole Solutions, who sat next to me, and he's been on this project from the start. So I think it's only fair that Irvin shares with us exactly what he's been doing and what's been happening, because he's the guy who's been working the rig.
Sounds like a plan.
Over to Irv. Hello, Roger.
Hi, Irv.
Yeah. Question, mate. I was doing something on the iPad a minute.
So the question was, we see the rig already driving to site with some difficulties to get there due to the overhead room. Can you explain a little bit about the challenges you see in this project and some, what are you exactly doing here in this job?
Well, to start off with, when we got there, and they said it was low room, and so we obviously offered on the PL because it's the smallest rig that we can get on there and produce the samples that they were requiring. So with the PL, we could adjust to get it in. It was very tight, so we could adjust the mast at certain levels and lift the head up and down to support, obviously with the supports on the back to get the rig in. So it was quite a challenge to get it in there for them. And once it was in, basically what we're doing there is they had the rotary rig on there, and down to anywhere between 15 to 18 meters. But throughout the whole hole, there was no recovery. So all they were doing is just washing everything away. And with a 1.5 meter run, that would probably achieve 0.3 of a sample. And obviously with the Sonic, we just went natural boring with a single wall barrel, and we got 100% sample recovery, also doing CPTs and any UT100s if ground was possible to get.
Okay. Can you take us over the material you're drilling on this site? What's the geological buildup of this site?
Right. So what it is, there's a wall. So at the side of the wall, there's about a 3 metre height wall, and then at the bottom of it, there's about 1 metre of reinforced concrete. So they were taking just over a week to core these holes with a coring, like diamond drilling barrel thing. And basically, what we're doing, we're pouring it out because the big boulders, like the big granite boulders, like all the way down with the concrete layers on them. And so we're coring straight through the granite and then onto the concrete pad about 3 metres, so 1.5 metres for that, and then basically straight through, and then which was taking us half a day, if that, and then straight into the natural ground, which at the start is a bit of beach sand, and then you come into like weathered mudstone with gravel, but it's very, very dense. So you can see why the quarry was getting no recovery.
Yeah. Okay. And what is the consultant thinking of the sonic drilling in this particular project?
Say that again, mate. Sorry.
What is the consultant thinking of the sonic on this particular project? What is their feedback?
They are very, very, very happy because they've spent 8 weeks there with their rotary, you see, and they were trying every single method possible with no recovery. And basically, with how the area is, that, like I say, they had to get a small rig. So with a small rig, they assumed it was 20 to 25 metre holes, depending on what we found. And they assumed that with the size of the machine, that they probably wouldn't get down to depth. So basically, we full recovery all the way down, and and the clients who were there, we're on board, they're extremely happy, and then they pulled everything back onto their clients, and everyone's pretty damn happy with the paper. It's a fast way of drilling, and it's guaranteed every time.
Yeah. If you didn't have the sonic, you had a CP and a rotary rig to do this job. Not only the time, but the quality of the sample. Do you think you would be capable of getting some of the results you're getting with the sonic?
So basically, if I was on there with a CP rig, is what I spent for like the last 5 years. If I was on a CP rig, it'd take me a very, 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 very long time just to get through the brand new material. And you'd have to start in 10-inch, 8-inch, and 6-inch to get to the quiet depth of 20 metres. Now, the reason I say 10 inches, you'd have to smash all that stuff above. It would probably take you over a week to try and smash through it. Sample-wise, once you're into the natural, you'd be out there filling up with water, trying to shell it. And the problem you'll have there is because of the water at the beach, all that now pushes all the way up. So it's like the hole just fills up. Whatever you've just took out fills back up from underneath itself. So there's sample quality, probably won't get a lot. You just get like ball bags, really, mate. It's just stuff just smashed. But yeah.
Okay. As a driller, how easy was it to convert from CP drilling to sonic drilling?
To be fair, mate, because obviously I've always done like deep holes and hard holes, which a lot of people do tend to shy off from and just don't want to know. So that side of things has helped me move from CP to sonic quite a lot. And there was actually a very good. We had 2 drillers over from you guys. They were very, very, very good teachers, and they explained a lot. But at the same time, I picked it up really quick, and it wasn't very, very hard. So if anyone was looking into swapping over, and they assume it's very hard, it isn't. easy. It's just listening to what your guys are trying to teach, and yeah, pretty easy, mate.
Okay. Well, John and Irv, thank you for this contribution. I think it gives a real good insight on what you guys have been doing and the capabilities for consulting companies on what Sonic can do as a drilling technology compared to sample quality and production. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Dave, if you want to take over.
Yes, and again, thank you from all of us, I think. The audience listening, if you've got questions that you'd like us to put to John and Irv, then you're welcome to put those questions through us if you wish to. Thank you very much. Okay. For the second from last slide, then, most of you have seen this already, but this is the location of the office in the UK, in Bromsgrove. You're more than welcome to visit any time. I won't go all through the details because we've already done that. But there's the address, and you're welcome to call in. You're welcome to use our services, and we'd be glad to see you. Okay, for the final slide, we'd like to say thank you very much for everybody that's actually linked into these webinars. You'll notice there the second line we say see you at our next demo day. It's our intention to do another demo day or several demo days in the UK, and we're looking to do those in the south, in the Midlands, and in the north for customers who are interested in sonic drilling to actually see what goes on. We will show you a sonic rig doing a proper job, and try and give you a real picture as to what's possible and what isn't possible. So again, any questions about that, please ask. I'll leave this slide up. Those are the contact details of myself, Rutger and Callum. And all that's left to say is stay safe and enjoy the bank holiday weekend. Thank you very much.